Have you ever noticed something in a private moment, maybe after a shower, maybe during a quiet night with your partner, that things just don't look or feel the way they used to? Maybe it's the fullness, the firmness, the size when you're supposed to be at your best. Maybe there's a part of you that noticed the change months ago and told yourself it was nothing, that it was just age, that this is how it goes now. I want you to stop right there. Because what I'm about to share with you in this video is something most men over 60 have never been told, and it directly contradicts what most of them have silently accepted as their new normal. There is a simple oil, one you can likely find tonight for under $10, that when rubbed onto your length every single night using the exact method I'll show you, begins to reverse years of restricted blood flow, depleted tissue, and lost fullness in as little as 7 days. I'm not talking about a pill. I'm not talking about an injection or a procedure or a conversation you're not ready to have with your doctor. I'm talking about something ancient, natural, and backed by science that your body has quietly been waiting for you to discover. My name is Dr. Mei Anderson. I'm a urologist specializing in senior men's sexual health, and I've spent over 2 decades working with men in their 50s, 60s, 70s, even into their 80s, helping them reclaim something they were certain was gone forever. What I'm about to share with you is what I teach inside my clinic. Not theory, not supplements paid to advertise on this channel. What actually works for real men with real concerns, based on 2 decades of clinical experience, and the science that most doctors simply don't have time to explain. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you exactly which oil to use, how to apply it, what's happening inside your tissue when you do, and what to expect, day by day, over the next 7 nights. What you learn here could be the most important thing you've done for yourself in years. Before we go any further, if you are new to Vital Health Seniors, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell. Every single week I bring honest, practical, shame-free health information designed specifically for men over 50 who refuse to accept decline as their final answer. And if something in this video is already speaking to something you've been carrying quietly, type the number 1 in the comments right now. You don't have to explain anything. Just type 1. It lets me know you're here, and I read every single one. Alright, let's get into this. Here is what nobody in mainstream medicine has time to explain to you in a 15-minute appointment. The change in size and fullness that most men notice after 50 is not a permanent structural loss. It is not irreversible, and it is almost certainly not what you think it is. Most men assume it's just aging, that the tissue has changed permanently, that what they see now is what they will see forever. But here is what I observe in my clinic every single week that contradicts that assumption entirely. When I examine men over 60 who have been experiencing reduced firmness, reduced size at full capacity, and reduced sensitivity, the issue is almost never the tissue itself. The tissue is still there. The potential is still there. What's missing is the blood flow that allows the tissue to reach its full, natural size. Think about what an erection actually is at a biological level. It is blood. Specifically, it's your body flooding 2 chambers of spongy erectile tissue, the corpus cavernosum, with enough pressurized blood to create firmness and full engorgement. When that system is working at complete capacity, the tissue expands to its maximum natural size. When it isn't, when blood flow is restricted, when vessels are narrowed, when circulation to that area is compromised, the tissue never fully fills. It never reaches maximum engorgement. And that incomplete fill is what looks and feels like a loss of size. You haven't lost size. You've lost blood flow. And there is a massive difference between those 2 things. One is permanent. The other is fixable. And that distinction changes everything about how you should be approaching this. Several things quietly attack the blood vessels that feed your penile tissue over the years. Chronic inflammation narrows the arterial walls. Oxidative stress damages the endothelium. The inner lining of your blood vessels, the surface responsible for producing nitric oxide, which is the molecule that triggers every erection you've ever had. Reduced testosterone weakens the smooth muscle inside those vessels, reducing their ability to dilate fully on demand. And years of restricted flow means the tissue itself becomes less responsive, less sensitive, slower to signal the brain that arousal is happening. The result is what men describe sitting across from me week after week. Not just smaller or softer, disconnected, like that part of their body has gone quiet, and most of them have already resigned themselves to it. They've accepted it as a verdict on their future. But it isn't a verdict. It is a state of your blood vessels, and states can be changed. Here is what I want you to understand about why this happens, and why what I'm about to give you addresses it directly. The enemy is not your age. The enemy is restricted circulation to penile tissue caused by years of vascular inflammation, endothelial dysfunction, and oxidative stress building up silently inside the blood vessels of your pelvic region. And what genuinely frustrates me as a physician is that there is a solution which directly addresses this mechanism, topically, naturally, with no side effects, that has been used for centuries, studied extensively, and that most men have never once been told about. Not because it doesn't work, but because it cannot be patented. It cannot be sold for $300 a month. It doesn't create pharmaceutical dependency. It costs less than a cup of coffee, and it works by delivering active compounds directly through your skin, into the blood vessels underneath, restoring circulation and tissue responsiveness at the very source of the problem. So what is this oil? It's castor oil. And before you dismiss that, before you think of it only as a laxative, I need you to completely reset what you believe you know about it. Because what most people know about castor oil is 1% of what it can actually do when applied topically to the right area with the right method. Cold-pressed castor oil contains a compound called ricinoleic acid. This is a rare fatty acid found in virtually no other oil on the planet at this concentration. And ricinoleic acid does something that almost no other topical compound can do. It penetrates the skin barrier and directly interacts with the smooth muscle tissue underneath. It binds to what are called EP3 receptors, the same receptors targeted by prostaglandin E1, which is one of the most potent vasodilatory compounds in human biology. When ricinoleic acid activates these receptors, it signals the smooth muscle in the walls of your blood vessels to relax and expand. And when those vessels expand, blood rushes in. Within minutes of correct application, men report a warmth, a gentle, spreading heat. That is your circulation literally returning to tissue that may have been underserved for years. But that is only the beginning of what castor oil does in this context. Ricinoleic acid is also one of the most powerful topical anti-inflammatory compounds ever studied. Chronic inflammation in the penile vasculature causes something called fibrosis. That's the gradual buildup of stiff, inelastic connective tissue inside the corpus cavernosum. Fibrotic tissue cannot expand fully when blood fills it. Think of trying to inflate a balloon made of thick cardboard instead of thin latex. The fibrotic tissue physically limits how completely the chambers can fill, which directly limits both the firmness and the size you can achieve during arousal. Ricinoleic acid goes to work on that fibrosis. It reduces the inflammatory markers that cause it, softens the connective tissue, and over 7 to 30 days of consistent nightly application, begins to restore the natural elasticity that allows your tissue to expand fully again. And there is a third mechanism that I find remarkable. Castor oil has been shown in research to stimulate prostaglandin synthesis in the tissue directly beneath where it's applied. Prostaglandins are signaling molecules. They tell your nervous system that this area is active, that blood should be directed here, that nerve endings should wake up and respond. For men who describe their length as numb, unresponsive, slow to react, this is the mechanism that brings sensation back. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Your own body beginning to signal itself again, the way it did when you were younger. Now, I use castor oil as the base of this protocol. But there are 2 additional oils I always pair with it in my clinical practice, because together they create a synergy that dramatically amplifies what castor oil does alone. Let me walk you through both of them. The first is rosemary essential oil, diluted into the castor oil base. Where castor oil works on the smooth muscle and reduces fibrotic inflammation, rosemary oil targets the capillaries, the smallest blood vessels, and gently encourages them to open through its active compounds rosmarinic acid and camphor. Men describe the combined effect of castor and rosemary as warmth followed by a subtle tingling sensation. That tingling is not a side effect. That is capillary blood flow returning to the finest vessels in your tissue. That is your body remembering how to fill itself. The second is ginger essential oil. Ginger adds a targeted warmth that increases local circulation through what's called thermogenic vasodilation. Essentially, the gentle heat it generates tells your blood vessels to open and direct blood to that area. It also contains compounds called gingerols that inhibit platelet aggregation, which means it keeps your blood fluid and moving freely through the vessels that have just been opened by the other two oils. Ginger is simultaneously a powerful anti-inflammatory, through entirely different pathways than ricinoleic acid, which means the combined anti-inflammatory effect of all three oils together is significantly greater than any single one of them alone. What you have when you combine these three is a system working on three fronts simultaneously. You are opening the vessels, flooding the tissue with blood, and reducing the inflammation and fibrosis that was physically preventing your tissue from reaching full capacity. That is why the results men report aren't subtle. That is why the change in size and firmness after consistent use feels, for many men, like something coming back online that they had completely given up on. Now let me give you the exact blend and the exact method. Because how you apply this matters just as much as what you apply. The wrong method gives you a fraction of the results. The right method is what changes everything. Into a small clean glass bottle, combine 2 tablespoons of cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil. Make sure the label says cold-pressed, because heat processing destroys the ricinoleic acid, and you will get very little benefit from a heat-processed oil. To that, add 6 drops of pure rosemary essential oil. Look for Rosmarinus officinalis on the label, and 4 drops of pure ginger essential oil, Zingiber officinale. Mix gently. This is your blend. Keep it sealed between uses and store it somewhere visible, not tucked away in a drawer, because visibility is what makes consistency happen. The timing of your application is critical, and I want to explain why rather than just telling you what to do. Apply this oil within 10 minutes of a warm shower. Not cold. Warm. Warm water opens the pores and causes superficial vasodilation in the skin. This creates an absorption window where compounds applied topically penetrate the skin approximately 3 to 4 times more effectively than if applied to dry, cold skin later in the evening. That absorption difference determines whether you get surface-level results or deep tissue results. Always apply within that post-shower window. After your shower, pat dry gently. Do not rub the skin dry. You want some residual warmth still present. Take an amount of the blend roughly the size of a large pea, warm it between your fingertips for 15 seconds, and begin applying to the base of your penis first, then working slowly along the shaft in gentle circular motions. Do not rush. This is important. Your body does not respond to impatient application, especially tissue that has been receiving poor circulation for years. It responds to slow, rhythmic, intentional pressure that sustains contact and gives the ricinoleic acid time to begin penetrating. Apply for 3 to 4 full minutes. While you're applying, breathe slowly. In through the nose for a count of 4. Out through the mouth for a count of 6. I know that sounds like an unusual clinical instruction, but I give it to every patient for a specific reason. Slow diaphragmatic breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system. The rest and restore state, and measurably reduces cortisol. Elevated cortisol causes the blood vessels in your pelvic region to constrict, which is the exact opposite of what we are trying to achieve. The breathing and the oil work together. One addresses the vascular chemistry, the other addresses the neurological state that either allows or blocks that chemistry from working fully. Both matter. After application, allow the oil to absorb for at least 10 minutes before covering with clothing. The ideal time to do this is shortly before bed, and that timing is not arbitrary. During the first few hours of sleep, your body enters its primary tissue repair cycle. Growth hormone peaks. Cortisol reaches its lowest point of the day. Blood pressure drops and your vascular system begins its most intensive regenerative work of the 24-hour period. Applying this oil before that window means the ricinoleic acid, the rosmarinic acid, and the gingerols are present and active in your tissue during the exact hours when your body is already trying to repair itself. You are not fighting biology. You are working with it. Do this every single night for 7 consecutive nights without interruption. And let me tell you precisely what to expect as those 7 nights unfold. On the first night, what you will notice during the application itself is a warmth beginning to spread through the tissue. Not heat, not burning, but a gentle, spreading aliveness. Many men describe it as something that has been dimmed for years suddenly being turned up, just slightly. That warmth is real and it is measurable. It is increased circulation. For some men, this is the first time in years that area of their body has felt genuinely warm and attended to. And something about that first experience, the simple act of giving deliberate, intentional care to a part of yourself you may have been ignoring or avoiding, shifts something emotionally as well. You have made a decision. You have shown up. And your body registers that. By the second and third night, the cumulative anti-inflammatory effect of the ricinoleic acid begins to build in the vessel walls and connective tissue. Men start to notice a sensation of fullness, even without arousal, that has been absent for a long time. A spontaneous awareness of that region of the body that had gone quiet. That is your nervous system re-engaging, your brain and that part of your body beginning to communicate again after a period of disconnection. Some men tell me they had forgotten what that awareness even felt like. They thought it was gone permanently. It was not gone. It was waiting. Around the 4th and 5th night, arousal changes. It becomes easier to initiate, more immediate. The tissue responds more quickly to stimulation because the nerve endings are now receiving better blood supply, which means they are more sensitive, more responsive, more willing. Men begin reporting that morning erections, which may have been weak or entirely absent for years, begin returning. Not always at full capacity yet, but noticeably stronger than before. And the size and firmness during arousal begins to increase as the connective tissue softens and allows fuller, less restricted engorgement of the chambers. Something deeper shifts around the 6th night. Not just physically. The men who reach this stage consistently describe a change in how they feel about themselves in a way that goes beyond what's happening in the bedroom. The quiet confidence that comes from knowing your body is responding again. That it hasn't abandoned you, that it isn't broken. That changes your posture. It changes how you carry yourself. Partners notice before you say a single word about it. Not necessarily because of what happens during intimacy, but because of the energy you bring back into the room with you. You are present again in a way you may not have been for years. By the 7th night, what I call the awakening point, the 3-phase mechanism is fully active. Circulation is meaningfully improved. The fibrotic tissue is measurably softer and more elastic. Nerve sensitivity is heightened. Men report fuller erections. Not just firmer but more complete, the kind of full engorgement the chambers are designed to achieve when blood flow is unrestricted. For men who have had compromised circulation for years, this feels and looks like a significant change. Because it is. When your tissue finally fills completely, when blood floods the corpus cavernosum without restriction, you are seeing your body at its actual natural capacity, not some exaggerated result. Its natural, healthy, intended capacity that was always there and simply needed the blockage cleared. 7 nights opens the door. 30 nights consolidates everything you've built. Consistent ongoing use is what maintains it. Now, this protocol works powerfully on its own. But there are 3 things I recommend alongside it that amplify the results significantly, and none of them are complicated. The first is a nitric oxide primer. Drink 30 to 60 minutes before your oil application each evening. 8 ounces of cold-pressed beet juice with the juice of half a fresh lemon squeezed directly into it. The dietary nitrates in beet juice convert to nitric oxide through a pathway in your saliva and stomach that completely bypasses your endothelium. Meaning even if your blood vessel lining is already compromised, this pathway still works regardless. The lemon juice dramatically accelerates the conversion by increasing the acidity that drives it. Nitric oxide is the primary molecule your body uses to signal your blood vessels to dilate and direct blood to the pelvic region. When you drink this before applying the oil, you are chemically priming the highway that the oil is simultaneously working to clear. The combination of internal nitric oxide production and external topical vasodilation is what takes results from noticeable to remarkable. The second amplifier is 5 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing before you begin the application, not just during it. Sit quietly, breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, out through your mouth for 6 counts, for 5 full minutes. This drops your cortisol measurably before the oil ever touches your skin, which means the blood vessels in your pelvic region begin to relax before the ricinoleic acid even starts working. Men who add this step report a noticeably stronger response, more warmth, more sensation, more fullness, than those who apply the oil while still in a tense, stressed, end-of-day state. 5 minutes. No equipment. No cost. And it changes the entire effectiveness of what comes after it. The third amplifier is a morning activation practice. After waking, around day 4 or 5 when you begin noticing the morning response returning, apply a small amount of just the castor and ginger blend, no rosemary in the morning, and perform 10 slow hip circles followed by 10 gentle pelvic tilts. This is not exercise. This is circulation activation. It keeps blood moving actively to the tissue you've been restoring overnight rather than allowing it to sit static during the waking hours. And it maintains the connection between your nervous system and that region throughout the day rather than only during the nighttime repair window. These 3 additions are the difference between good results at 7 days and the kind of results men describe at 30 days that make them wonder why nobody ever told them this 20 years ago. Now I want to say something directly before we close, and I want you to hear it not as a medical disclaimer, but as something I've come to believe deeply after 2 decades and thousands of conversations with men sitting in my clinic. The moment a man decides that his sexual health no longer matters, his performance, his vitality, his capacity for desire, his ability to connect physically with someone he loves, that is the moment something begins to disappear from him that goes far beyond the bedroom. Because sexual health for a man is not separate from his broader health. It is a direct mirror of it. When that system goes quiet, energy follows, motivation follows, confidence follows, the willingness to be fully present in every other area of life, that follows too. I have had men in their 70s and 80s in my clinic who are more vascularly active, more hormonally present, and more sexually alive than men 20 years younger, because they never accepted decline as a final sentence. They kept showing up for themselves. They kept caring. And I have had men in their mid-50s who had already stopped, who had already decided this chapter was closed, who looked older than their years, and felt even older than they looked. Because they had quietly surrendered the most fundamental, most private, most human expression of their own vitality. You are not past this. Your body is not past this. What you are experiencing is a blood flow problem. And blood flow problems, when you give your body the right tools in the right way, respond. I have watched it happen more times than I can count, in men who came into my office having already written themselves off. Men who sat where you are sitting right now and decided, quietly, to try one more thing. That decision, that single act of refusing to fully give up, is what separated the men who transformed from the men who didn't. The fact that you are here, watching this, at whatever hour it is for you right now, that is not desperation. That is a man who is still fighting for himself, still refusing to disappear without a conversation. I respect that more than I can express. And everything I've shared with you today is designed to give that fight a real, science-backed, clinically tested foundation. Before I let you go, let me tell you the single most important thing I see men get wrong with this protocol. They try it once or twice, feel something early, and then stop when life gets in the way or day 2 doesn't deliver dramatic results. Vascular restoration is not instant. The inflammation that has been building in your blood vessel walls for years did not arrive in a week. What will happen in a week is a meaningful, noticeable beginning, enough to show you clearly the direction your body wants to move when you stop fighting against it and start giving it what it needs. The men who see the most life-changing results are not the ones with the best starting biology. They are the ones who showed up every single night for 30 days without exception. Be that man. If this video gave you something real tonight, if something here named what you've been carrying, I want you to do 3 things right now. Hit the like button. It tells YouTube that this information matters, which means it reaches other men who are searching for exactly this at this very moment. Men who need it tonight the same way you needed it when you found this video. Then share it with one man in your life. You don't have to explain your reason. Just send it. Let the video speak. And drop a comment below right now. If you're over 60 and this resonated, type 60 plus. If you're starting this protocol tonight, type starting tonight. If you've already been trying natural methods for your vitality and performance, tell me what's been working. I read every single comment, and your experience might be exactly what another man needs to hear to take his first step. And if you are not yet subscribed to Vital Health Seniors, this is your moment. I publish honest, evidence-based, shame-free content specifically for men over 50 every single week. Content your doctor doesn't have time to explain in a 15-minute appointment. Content that puts you back in control of your own health, your own vitality, and your own life. Subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss an episode. Now, if what you learned today opens something for you, you are going to want to watch my next video immediately. Because what I'm covering next is something I consider one of the most underreported findings in senior men's sexual health of the last 5 years. There is a specific morning drink, 3 ingredients, takes less than 2 minutes to prepare, costs less than $1. That clinical research shows can increase nitric oxide production in the penile vasculature significantly within just 2 hours of consumption. 2 hours. Not 2 weeks. Not 2 months. 2 hours from the moment you drink it. Most men over 60 are waking up every single morning and skipping this completely. And that one missing step may be the primary reason everything else they try falls short of what it should be delivering. It's coming very soon. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch it the moment it goes live. I'm Dr. Mei Anderson. This is Vital Health Seniors. And I want you to carry one thing with you from today. You are not broken. You are not past your time. You have a body that is still listening, still willing, still capable, and waiting for you to speak to it again. Tonight is a good night to start. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.